Back to one of our leading stories this hour. The complainants in the Timothy Omotoso rape and human trafficking case say they are disappointed with the NPA's handling of the matter. Now, the Gqeberha High Court acquitted Omotoso of all 32 charges against him earlier this month. Now, 3 Chapter 9 institutions will hold an inquiry into the state's handling of the case. Let's unpack this with Lisa Vetten. She is a gender specialist on violence against women. Lisa, thanks very much indeed for coming on. And it's just repeated the level of trauma that these accusers have to go through as they fight time and again for justice in this case.
Yes, absolutely. And I think what makes this so difficult is there is nothing they can have done about this. So it adds an additional kind of helplessness, because they depended upon other people let them down, and there is now nothing they can do about it. So it certainly adds yet another sense of that kind of helplessness that the initial attack leaves you feeling as well. So I really do hope the NPA is giving very, very serious thoughts as to what kind of reparative gestures they can make towards this group of complainants to whom they promised so much and have delivered so little.
Yeah. Judge Irma Skuman said the state failed to prove its case beyond reasonable doubt. That was one of the nicer ways she explained the prosecution's behavior during this case. She had some choice words for the prosecutor here. Lisa, are you able to hear us still?
Okay, you're back again. Sorry, you disappeared?
Yeah, go ahead. Just on what the judge had to say about the poor handling of this case by the prosecutor. I mean, according to Judge Irma Skuman and according to the evidence we heard in court, the prosecutor didn't even know the definition or purported to not know the definition of rape.
It's deeply concerning. And I mean, it just raises questions about what other kind of quality of justice is being handed down in the Eastern Cape, because this was a very serious, high-profile case. You would imagine that the NPA put their best into it, and if this is what their best provides, you become very worried about what's happening in the rest of the province. I mean, I think the prosecutor not knowing the definition of rape was just one of the problems. I think what was also just as serious were the accusations that one of the prosecutors may have behaved in a very unethical way and suggested that people trim and manicure their evidence somewhat, which is also very wrong. And of course, to have no skill in cross-examination is extremely serious. At the heart of our criminal justice system is adversarial. And cross-examination is when you really, really have the opportunity to put someone's version to the test. We've seen how it gets used against complainants in very unpleasant ways. But when you're a good cross-examiner or prosecutor, you can be just as hard on an accused. And I think that was what Judge Labuskaghni found so disappointing, was that they simply didn't put their backs into it. And she had set aside the time in order for this case to be properly heard, and the prosecutor, as she put it, did an extremely shallow job.
Yeah.
And that is at the heart of a prosecutor's skill. So to not know how to cross-examine at such a senior level is, again, a very serious sign of dysfunction.
Certainly, and I wanted to just apologize to our viewers. There is some background noise coming to us from where you are, Lisa, but I want to just round off our conversation with a question around the levels of gender-based violence and femicide we face in our country, and what kind of message this sends to survivors who are considering coming forward. I mean, we know that it's no easy feat to try and take your case to court as a survivor of rape or gender-based violence. What message does this send?
It's a very troubling message because it undermines the credibility of the criminal justice system in a very public way. I mean, in this case, the police did their job and it was the courts who let the complainants down. So that gives a very poor message to others. And I think it does conceal the work that we don't see that is good and that is acceptable, because we do see convictions still happening in the system. So a very public failure like this undermines all that kind of work. Especially when we keep on telling complainants to come forward and to speak out and to tell people that they really must report. Something like this totally undermines it. And I think what this case also does is it's really a challenge to prosecuting authority to look at why they are putting so few rape cases down for trial in comparison to the number they were putting down 10 years ago. The number is almost 3,000 cases less.